Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 18th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Thursday to ya. Hopefully you've had a good one. It's my favorite day of the week and it treated me well, so I'm happy about that. I will say I had a late start because I woke up like 3 hours after falling asleep. So it's the middle of the night and I can't go back to sleep. I was able to get at least like a little bit of a nap, maybe about an hour or so. But then, of course, that made me like sleep through all but my last alarm. So, a bit of a rough start for the morning, but, caffeine definitely helped get me through. It was busy at work, but not too bad. I'm glad to see that the week is winding down. So I'll take that, especially for like this busy peak-ish period that we're in. I find myself getting asked to work on Sunday, and I keep saying no because I don't want to. This year we changed our overtime holiday, like peak, situation where they don't want to work on Saturday. So they're like, no, we have a supervisor ready for Sunday. We're just going to shift that to like, I guess, working a double on Sunday. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I might do it in October. I'm not doing that for September. No, thank you. So, there's that. But overall, like I said, good day at work. After work, we went to the gym. Gym was good. I kind of want to lean towards saying it was fine. I was a bit distracted. Like, not that anything was going on or I was sad or anything like that. I think sometimes you just do for like a bad workout session in a way, or just maybe not as optimum, not as good as some of the others in the week. Felt like today was just that day. But overall, I eventually got off my phone, got to work, and it was good. Pump was solid. So yeah, that was my day. Nothing too crazy. Pretty ho-hum, pretty standard. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and we'll get into some news. All right. Our first story is coming from Al Jazeera. Ukraine strikes choke off Russian oil exports and fuel supplies. Ukraine has worsened fuel shortages across Russia in the past week as it has continued to hit Russia's refineries and energy infrastructure with long-range drones, while Poland has called for more oil sanctions in the wake of Russia's first drone attack on NATO soil. In the meantime, Russia's creeping advance resulted in the capture of 3 villages over the past week, and perhaps for the first time, Ukraine's command reacted by dismissing the retreating officers. Russian forces took the villages of Sonoskova, or I'm just fucking that up. Sonoskovka, there we go, sure, and Novunnikivka, sure, and Dnipropetrovsk. Oh, man, these are just crushing me early. And Olevsk and Odovskoye in Zaporizhia. Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky on Monday fired the 2 officers in charge of the 17th and 20th Army Corps, which are based in the 2 respective regions. So, I just wanted to kind of just talk about the first part of this article. The rest is kind of more of a recap on just a bit of the conflict, a bit of the oil situation for Russia, how it is being hampered by this strike and the sanctions coming out of Poland, all that. And that feels kind of yada, yada, yada. I mean, we've touched on that one way or another, lightly, briefly. But I just wanted to cover that update in the conflict in terms of Ukraine, making a big strike. I feel like that's definitely noteworthy, worth talking about. So yeah, we're starting off there, but we're going to go ahead and move on to France from the BBC. Workers across France strike over budget cut plans. Hundreds of thousands of workers have taken part, or have taken, yeah, I think they just fuck up here. Hundreds of thousands of workers have taken part in strike in a strike across France on Thursday after trade unions called for a day of protests against budget cuts. Organizers said 1 million people turned out, while the Interior Ministry put that number at 500,000, with 80,000 police officers deployed. Scuffles were reported in the cities of Lyon and Nantes, and in Paris, small-scale clashes broke out between police and protesters. Officers in riot gear used tear gas and shields to disperse crowds in the center of the capital after some protesters damaged a small number of businesses and buildings. The strikes come barely a week after Sébastien Lecornu, a close ally of President Emmanuel Macron, was appointed prime minister following the toppling of François Bayrou's government. So yeah, this was a big reaction to the budget cuts. A lot of people understand that these budget cuts that they're trying to do to shave the budget down to what they feel like they need. I mean, I feel like it's more than a feeling. They know that. They see the number. It's a problem. They're trying to fix it. But they're trying to take it out of like social spending, things that you're normally going to be given to the people, as opposed to saying, hey, we could do, tax hikes. And more specifically, if you're talking from the left, we could do tax hike on the more wealthy. And that would definitely make things better and easier for the people. But that's not what we're doing. Essentially, Le Cornu is probably going to push the same kind of budget bill that his predecessors were pushing, which probably isn't going to fucking work. So, we'll see. It seems like we're kind of on a collision course here. I was listening to the BBC, and they did say that Macron could do a thing that he's done previously, I want to say like a year or so ago, where I forget what the name of the law is, but essentially he can just push the shit through if he wants. He can just force it to happen. So, hopefully you don't see that, but I do feel like essentially, Macron's administration is more or less in like this weird lame duck phase where they like Macron wants to get these things done because they either have to get done or they're just a part of what he maybe feels like is his legacy, or he doesn't want to leave like a stain or smear on it. So he's like, fuck it, I'll just force this shit through. I don't care. You guys can boo me all you want. So, excuse me. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. Hopefully, people see the public outcry here and actually want to do the right thing, or move towards what I think is doing the right thing. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things shake out from there. Once again, another quick update. I think I did want to mention, I don't know why this felt important to me, but let's see. Public transport was heavily disrupted on Thursday, with many metro lines in Paris reported shut, while protesters blocked roads and streets in major cities across France. Students gathered in front of schools and universities in the capital and beyond, blocking entrances and chanting slogans. Around a third of the teachers walked out. Pharmacists were also adhering to the strike action in droves, with 98% of pharmacies expected to stay closed. More than 300 people were detained across France, the Interior Ministry said. So people are really coming out. They are, really sticking to the script of saying, hey, don't try to push this budget bill, these budget cuts that are going to make our lives worse. You're already you're already forcing us to work longer and harder for no more money incentive or anything like that. So the least you could do is not make the situation worse for us. And I respect that. I applaud that from the people. Let's see here. Think we're good. I covered what I wanted to cover out of that. Let's move on, though. We got to go to the Trump verse a little bit to kind of close out this episode for the next two stories. From Reuters. Reuters. Trump targets Antifa movement as terrorist organization. Let's see. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he was designating the Antifa movement as a terrorist organization. In his post on Truth Social, he added, quote, I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. which I feel like what he's trying to say here, and I kind of gathered this from listening to a really good episode on kind of just a big breakdown on the Charlie Kirk situation, Turning Point USA, fucking Nick Fuentes, Great Burgers, the whole fucking thing from TrueAnon. But I think the tactic here, the strategy here is, well, we are not completely stupid. We know that we can't necessarily say, oh, we're going to go after Antifa, and there's like the Antifa headquarters, and there's the Antifa group, and they're just all there hanging out, chilling. Like, that's just not how Antifa moves or works. So essentially they want to go for anyone that they feel is funding an Antifa-like group or movement or thing. So they essentially slap the label there, follow a money trail, and they go, okay, you're an organization that we can target. We can fuck with you. And I think how they want to do that is essentially saying, well, are you an organization that has tax-free status? Okay, bingo bango. We're going to move to take that away from you. We're going to take legal action to strip that from you, which I think is a very fucking crazy thing. You can have a movement, an organization that is essentially just doing like some kind of good work, funding causes and things of that nature. And essentially because this Trump administration says, oh, well, you said a thing that we disagree with. Because that's really what this is arcing out from. Like they're saying like, oh, you guys said and did like horrible things to Charlie Kirk. I was like, well, what did you do? Oh, we said he was bad. We said he was a piece of shit. We booed him. We made a joke at maybe his, corpse expense. So essentially, you guys are bad. You guys are evil. And, like I said, we're going to move to try to make things as impossible for you as possible. So yeah, I mean, that is the new state of things for the Trump administration and how they've kind of escalated this conversation. I'll say what, man, dark props to the piece of shit Stephen Miller, man. Like the I feel like the big brainchild of the Project 2025 movement. The devil works hard, but that motherfucker is working harder. He's trying to fucking be a thorn in any kind of liberal left ass fucking thing ever. And they always are trying to ratchet it up to like, oh, the thing you said, the thing you did was actually left-wing radicalism. When it's just like, nah, man, I kind of just want to like live in a normal, like normal America I knew, some kind of moderate thing. I feel like for a lot of people they want, and they're like, no, what you're doing is disagreeing with us, which is pretty radical. It's pretty fucked up of you to do that because we're doing common sense. We're doing common sense in America. That's what the Trump administration is all about. And if you're against our view of common sense, we want to try to throw you in jail. We want to try to strip your funding. We want to try to, like I said, make your life as miserable as fuck. So, I mean, that is the state of things. I mean, we talked about Jimmy Kimmel, getting the axe. I mean, technically he is suspended indefinitely. I have been hearing pushes of people trying to rally and do some kind of, I guess, organization to get Jimmy his job back. I don't fucking know. Maybe they'll give him like a new thing, or maybe he'll start a new show where he can talk shit or something. I don't know. But, obviously we'll see how that shit shakes out, and we'll see how things, progress with the Trump administration and their fight against anti-fascism. I want to make that statement before we move on to the very last thing. It's crazy that we have gotten to this point as Americans where when you call out fascism, you are now considered worse than the fascists. That's wild to me. That's fucking insane to me. And I also hate the fact that we have to keep invoking the fucking, free speech amendment bullshit. Like, this is a known fucking thing, and yet here we are constantly trying to subvert it and jump around it and do all this fucking weird shit and make it suit to taste for us. And when I mean by us, I mean the Trump administration. Like, they're like, we can use freedom of speech and freedom of expression to say what we want, but if you do it, you're a political enemy. You're a political operative, and you deserve to be taken out. You're an enemy of the state, according to us. So it's just crazy that the rhetoric, the political fucking climate has ratcheted up to this point. Preluding this conversation, what was it? JD Vance hosted the Charlie Kirk Turning Point, whatever the hell show, his little podcast thingamajig. He was on with Stephen Miller, and they were just talking about, once again, how they want to, target these Antifa-like groups, but they weren't being specific. They're being very fucking vague. So something like this is like, once again, you're seeing the road they're trying to lay down to try to get to a point where they're saying, hey, it's not just Charlie Kirk. If you say anything bad against Trump, the Trump administration, whatever we're fucking doing, we get to jam you up. We get to treat you like fucking terrorists, because that then makes you the ultimate other, and we get to do what we want. It's blank check. So, yeah, I mean, I really hope that this legally doesn't congeal into something real that really fucks with people's lives. But, I'm leaning towards it probably will in some capacity, some shape or form. So, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. It's a bit grim, the times we're living in. I hate to be this cliche piece of shit, but it's giving 1984. One way or another, it's giving 1984. What a bore. But we have one more story that I wanted to cover that is, also fucked up, you know, from this draconian hellscape that we're calling America. But it's from Politico. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and take our last break, and then we'll close it out. A bit of an update on Mahmoud Khalil. All right. Ooh. Immigration judge orders Mahmoud Khalil deported to Syria or Algeria. An immigration judge in Louisiana has ordered pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil, a legal permanent resident of the United States, deported to Syria or Algeria for failing to disclose information on his green card application, according to documents filed in federal court Wednesday by his lawyers. Khalil's lawyer suggested in a filing excuse me, that they intend to appeal the deportation order, but expressed concern that the appeal process will likely be swift and unfavorable. The order from the immigration judge, Jamie Colemans, came despite a separate order in Khalil's federal case in New Jersey blocking his deportation, while that court considers Khalil's legal argument that his detention and deportation are unlawful retaliation for his Palestinian advocacy. Khalil's March 8th arrest and subsequent detention in Louisiana was part of the Trump administration's aggressive crackdown on foreign-born pro-Palestinian academics who were studying or working in the U.S. legally. Khalil, a former Columbia graduate student who helped organize campus protests, was arrested in his Manhattan residence and put into deportation proceedings. He has not been charged with a crime. In a letter to the New Jersey federal judge, Michael Farbiars, fucking that up, but we move. Khalil's lawyers said they have 30 days from September 12th, the date of the immigration judge's ruling, to appeal her decision to the Board of Immigration Appeals. The lawyers said they expect that process to be swift, and that an appeal of the BIA decision, which would go to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, is likely to be successful, since they wrote the appeals court almost never grants stays of removal to non-citizens. As a result, they wrote, the only meaningful impediment to petitioners' physical removal from the United States would be this court's important order prohibiting removal during the pendency of his federal habeas case. And they wrote, nothing would preserve his lawful permanent resident status. In a statement, Khalil, a Palestinian originally from Syria, accused the Trump administration of using fascist tactics. Which I feel like literally, based off the article we just read, Trump administration could flip that and being like, see, this is Antifa shit right here, And it's like, what are we talking about? Because he's calling a thing what it is. And it's like, yeah, and you can't do that. Once again, you are essentially saying you're the fascist when you make this kind of fucking action and move that kind of way. I mean, that's how my fucking dumbass interprets it. I don't know. Let's see. I'm moving forward a little bit. In June, Farbiars, a Biden appointee, blocked the Trump administration from deporting Khalil on foreign policy grounds. Days later, the judge ordered Khalil's release after determining that he was not a flight risk or a danger to the community. That allowed him to return to New York, where he was reunited with his wife, a U.S. citizen, and his newborn son, who was born during his detention, who he was not allowed to see the birth of, even though he petitioned, did everything he could, wasn't a risk or anything like that. But they're like, nope, you have to stay in detention. We are going to make this as miserable for you as possible. All because you said something we didn't like. And essentially that was the initial reason. And now that he is out, they are trying to make it some kind of clerical thing. They said that he failed to disclose all his past employment and membership in certain organizations, which they are deeming like pro-Hamas, pro-terrorism, da-da-da-da-da. So essentially, for that reason, you should be ejected from this country. Once again, we are talking about free speech, freedom of expression for a U.S. fucking citizen. He's legally supposed to fucking be here, allowed to be here. And they're like, nah, we don't fucking care anymore. Get the fuck out. That is essentially what this administration is doing. This is how they are moving. And it hasn't stopped. I mean, this is an older thing from kind of the closer to the beginning of the Trump administration 2.0. But to kind of harken back to the Hyundai plant situation, there were situations where literally people had visa status that was completely legitimate, but they were treated and handled like fucking criminals and having to go cuffed on a fucking plane off of some diplomatic fucking negotiation with a South Korean ambassador to get home. They were just coming here to live their life, do their job. They were legally allowed to do this. Most of those people, at least 300 of those like people, if I'm not mistaken. It's crazy how this administration is moving. They are just pulling the trigger to try to get these big headline numbers, and then they just fucking move on, and they want to crash and ruin another set of people's lives. It is relentless what they are doing. They are nonstop about this fucking bullshit, and it's sad. It is depressing. Yeah, it is, it is definitely a thing that makes me feel embarrassed to be an American. I'm sorry. Like, we just shouldn't be moving like this in the land of the free, dude. Like, I'll never be able to make heads and tails of that shit. You know what I mean? I don't know how any of these fucking patriots are doing it, but they do. But yeah, man. I hope that Khalil can stay with his family, that there is some kind of work situation, but it does seem like, yet again, that the deck is constantly stacked against him. And anyone else who is trying to just literally just be here, exist here. Like, I don't even want to say just speaking out. Like, I mean, I think that that's definitely something that puts an instant target on your back. But we've seen so many times where it doesn't matter. You're just going to work. You're living your day to day. And they come through like a thief in the night and they steal you away from your friends, from your family, and you're never fucking heard from again in some situations. You're sent to some random ass fucking country. Initially, they were trying to send Khalil to fucking Uganda unless he played ball with them. That's what they were trying to fucking do. They were doing hardball ass tactics with him, and he's like, no, we're not doing this shit. Like, you guys are doing something very illegal here, and I'm gonna keep fighting you. And I'm glad that he did. But even then, he's still staring down the situation of, we're gonna send you to Syria or Algeria. We're gonna separate you from your fucking family. Once again, what am I supposed to say? God bless America? Fuck that shit, man. What the fuck? Anyway, that's it. That's all I have. I know I'm kind of ending on a sharp, sad note, but that there she goes. There she blows. That's the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Whatever platform you like to listen. Let's see. Leave a like. Leave a comment. Hopefully a good comment. Leave a nice comment. Don't be mean. Don't be a sourpuss. That'd be pretty whack of you. But, do what you want. Sharing is caring. That's also a useful thing. Leaving all the stars, 5 stars is always appreciated. That's good for the algorithm as well. But fuck the algo, fuck the AI. I appreciate you, a living, breathing human being, being on the other side of the line, listening to me yap and moan and complain and laugh, giggle, cry, do all the shit that I do in a regular ass fucking episode. So yeah, I really appreciate that so much. But yes, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.